What is going on, Renegades and Rangers? Welcome back to Morphin Monday, More Phenomenal Monday. I don't know what we're calling it. Mini Monday. Oh, we're calling it Mini Monday. More Phenomenal Mini Morphin Mondays. Hope everybody is having a great day. Welcome to February. As always, we are going to start off the month right by painting a Power Ranger Heroes of the Grid miniature. And today, in celebration of Valentine's Day, we are going to be painting a Pink Ranger. And in this case, we are going to be painting Mighty Morphin Pink. So I did something a little different, so don't be scared when I show you the miniature. So this is a miniature that we're going to be painting today. Oh, Louie, it's already painted. I promise, I'll explain. So this miniature is, I believe this is the second Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Pink Ranger miniature. The first being this one here, which I have already painted. This was one of the first minis that I painted when the game first came out. So this is the original. This is Kimberly. I believe this one is supposed to be the other Pink Ranger, but the only Pink Ranger for me is forever and always Kimberly. So I would use them both as Kimberly. But what we're doing a little different today is normally what I do on these streams is I paint a miniature from start to finish. And because base coating a miniature, putting on a wash or a shade takes a long time for things to dry, etc., etc., I have done a little bit of that in the beginning, off screen, so that we can jump right into learning some more, not advanced techniques, probably like intermediate techniques. Normally, we just really focus on very, very bare bones beginner stuff, and I want to try and expand on that a little bit this time. So what I've done is I've taken the miniature, as with any miniature, I will wash it. And to do that, I just use mild soap and a little bit of warm water, old toothbrush. What that does is get the releasing agent off. So a lot of manufacturers, they will put some type of releasing agent on the mold so that the miniatures pop out of the molds really easily. And that residue can stay on your mini, and it can affect some of the interactions with the paints. So you want to give your miniature a wash first. Then I prime the miniature with Citadel's Wraithbone. I use a spray. They also do sell it in a pot. So if you prefer to brush it on, I probably should have done this because it's still really cold here. And you want to try and avoid priming with a spray can when it is cold. Jamie says, I'm assuming that's Cat from the Legendary Rangers Forever Rangers pack. Yes, it is. Yeah, you can see the difference between the two miniatures. Then I followed up that prime with Citadel's Pink Horror. Now this is where I will start to deviate a little bit from what I've done in the past with Pink Ranger. So typically in the past, I've used Pink Horror as my primary pink. You can see here that I did the same with this mini, and I'm not super happy with the color of the pink, so we're going to not use this anymore. We're going to use Citadel's Emperor's Children. It's a little bit lighter of a pink, and it works really nicely with this Fulgrim pink, also from Citadel. They work really nicely together, so we're going to do that. Once it dried, I threw on a little bit of this Carabarg Crimson shade, and that has left us with this product here. So this is going to give us a great opportunity to get started with some of those. Do you go over the primer with the pink? Always had trouble painting pinks. Yeah, so That's a great question. Citadel makes, if you watch me often, you know that Citadel is my favorite paint to use. In this case, I'll explain how Citadel paints work, but other paints work differently. Citadel typically likes to use a three-color paint range. So they always have like a base coat and a layer, and then some sort of detail or dry brush or something like that. So in this case, this particular range of pinks starts with Screamer Pink. This is your base color, and then Pink Horror would be your layer, and they are very nicely labeled like that. So pink, if you're going to paint pink, this Screamer Pink is a great pink to use as your base, and that will help you to be able to paint over your primer a little better if you use a base paint. Because as you've seen in the past, you want to make sure that your paints are thin, but you also want to make sure that you get some good consistency. You don't want it to be super thin. And as Richard mentioned in the chat, it can be very difficult to paint pinks, greens, colors that are a little bit more transparent. So what we're going to do here, now that we have our base color of pink down, what we need to do is we need to go around and we need to start picking out some of the other details. We want to get everything completely based before we move on to the highlighting step. So one thing to note before we get too deep into this, I want to shout out to the chat. We're doing something even more special today. We're actually running a giveaway, so you want to make sure that you stick around, stay in the chat, and we'll get around to doing that at some point. So that's super cool. Sorry, losing my train of thought because I'm trying to decide what size paintbrush I'm going to use. You see here I have a various different sizes. I think we're going to go with the number 0 Raphael. Raphael is not just my favorite Ninja Turtle, but it is also my favorite brand of brushes at the moment. So I think the first detail that we're going to do is the visor. Typically, I don't like to use straight black on really anything, but today, for this particular detail, I am going to use straight black. So this is, what is this? Citadel Abaddon Black. You can use any black paint that you have. Most black paints are created equally. I used to use Vallejo exclusively for just straight black and white, but recently I have expanded into the Citadel range because I just really like the consistency. So let's see. Let's grab some of the visor here. You just want to be real careful. Now that we've got our base coat down, we can of course fix any mistakes that we make. But now is when we want to start getting a little more careful than normal. Just being very, very slow. I'm working from the middle outward. So you kind of put your brush the middle of your detail and then move towards the detail that you're trying to avoid getting the paint on. So I don't want to get paint on the pink. So I'm going to start far away from the pink and then move my brush towards it as opposed to starting at say, just like that. And had we started, from a bare plastic miniature, you know, we would spend the first hour or so just doing pure base coat. And normally that's fine. Um, I will continue doing that in the future, but I also like to do it this way as well because this allows me to show off some of the more, like I said, more advanced intermediate techniques, so we can start learning about detailing as opposed to just throwing paint on the miniature. We're also going to make the helmet shine like it would, you know, IRL. Another black detail that we have on this mini is the belt buckle, the morpher. So I'm just going to paint the whole thing black, and then we'll pick out more of the details later. I set up my paint palette fresh today, and for some reason it's still being very dry, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's not cooperating. Another reason that I kind of wanted to start with some of the base coat of the miniature done prior to the stream is, if you guys remember, whoever was on the stream last time had some weird paint interactions going on with the primer and the paint not sticking, and because I did have to prime the mini in the cold again, because I live in New England and it's still cold here, although this weekend it's supposed to be nice, so of course I don't have anything to prime this weekend. Maybe I'll just find something to prime. I could just go through and prime all my minis. Just make a huge assembly line and just knock it out, and then I don't have to worry about it. But again, if you remember, last month's mini was also it had been pre-primed like a few months ago, and I was still having that weird interaction. So I was like, maybe I should make sure that I'm not going to have a similar situation. Having a hard time getting into the top of the buckle here because of the location. There we go. That looks pretty good. So those are the two details that are going to be black. She also has the blaster here. I think the teeth might be black of the blaster. I need to call up some reference photos here. Type in what is it called? What is the blaster's called? Mighty Morphin Power Ranger blaster. Because that's one thing that that the original Pink Ranger, I say original as in the original mini, she does not have a holster on her belt like this newer mini does. This newer mini has the holster with the blaster in it. Okay, the teeth are silver, not black. Man, they make some cool toys. That's another thing to think about when you're painting your miniatures. I think I've mentioned this on a stream in the past. When you're painting your miniatures, if you're having a hard time finding reference photos for you to look at and to use, look up the toys because the toys tend to be pretty darn screen accurate for what they are, and in this case, that worked out well. Alright, now I'm going to grab the silver for the mouthpiece. Let's see, which silver should we use? I think we're going to use lead belcher. Actually, you know what? In the interest of keeping my, not keeping my paints monogamous here, I like to use different stuff so you can see that any paint color you can use. I'm going to use, let's use Army Painter. So I'm going to use Army Painter War Paints. This is plate mail metal. I don't know if they still call it that. This pot's probably 5 or 6 years old. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Jamie says, I personally don't prime in any Ranger colors, but I do base coat with contrast and speed paints. So you don't prime the minis at all? You just go straight from bare plastic to contrast paints? Anaya says, I'm giving away this mini. Yeah, I sure am. This is the giveaway. Cat's out of the bag. Rich says, within reason, watch the belts, the Rangers. I'm okay. Too much in there. Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. This paint might not work. It's looking a little watery. Let's see. It might be okay. Some of these paints are pretty old. This is also much lighter of a silver than, say, lead belcher. That worked out pretty well. I'm also going to paint the tip of this arrow here. While I'm painting the tip of the arrow for the bow, I do want to mention the model. Renegade has done a fantastic job of deciding to make the bowstrings thicker so that you don't have to worry about them breaking while you're playing the game with your miniatures, right? But it's a double-edged sword, because if you look at the bowstrings, they are just as thick and wide as the arrow itself. If you notice the bowstrings here, the arrow there, pretty much the same width. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little technique that I'm about to invent. Maybe I'm not the inventor of it, but I haven't watched a video or anything, so it may not even work. But we're going to do something that I think will make it look, at least give you the illusion that they're not as thick as they are. So we will we'll get to that part in a moment. I think I'm going to grab some red now. Remember, right now we're just hitting the details. We're trying to bring it to a tabletop standard. Technically, we're at a tabletop standard. So what I've kind of discovered in my time painting and my time in the miniature community is kind of this unwritten rule that a lot of people consider a miniature to be ready, tabletop ready, if it has 3 colors. So in this case, we have pink, we have black, and we have silver. So we are now technically white as well. We are now at what is known in the community as a tabletop standard. So we could stop right here, perfectly acceptable. But if you don't know me, know this. We're not going to stop there. We're going to keep pushing ourselves to do a little more. So let's grab some red. I'm just going to grab Mephiston red. You can use any red. Mephiston red's my favorite red, but you can also, you know what? In the interest of keeping stuff, that's my goal today, is to try and do different types of paint. So we're gonna use Pro Acryl. So this is Pro Acryl. This is bold Pyrrole red. Again, any red will do. This is just the first red I grabbed. Second red I grabbed because I guess I grabbed Mephiston red first. I don't think we've done this before, where I've gone through and used different paints for every step. Paint types. I have a few more. I'm gonna get to the point where I'm not gonna have any of a certain color for me to do stuff with. Let's put a little bit of that on the palette. Pro acryls tend to be a little thicker than some other paints sometimes. You don't need a lot on your palette. There's not very many details here. You can grab a little bit of, if you don't have, well, you should have water next to you anyway when you're painting, but sometimes I like to use airbrush thinner as well. What's nice about airbrush thinner is it's going to dilute the paint without affecting the pigments in the way that water might. If you don't have airbrush, you just want to use water, or you just want to use water. I prefer using distilled water as opposed to tap water or anything like that. You don't have to do that. So for this detail, we're going to get down to the belt. We're going to go around the morph coin, the power coin, trying to keep the outside black. I put way too much thinner on, so my paints are running. Great. Excellent. Being facetious, that's not excellent. Oh, Louie. That's alright. Let's go over the whole thing. Let it dry. This was that was kind of a fail on my part. Way too much water. So, grab some more of my paint, put it on the palette, away from the watery stuff, because I do need some more red for the blaster. I'm just going to paint the whole thing red for now. We'll come back and do the silver bits in a moment when it's dry. You want to be careful as much as possible around the white parts. So the thing with white is it's hard to paint white over top of other colors, especially dark colors like red and black and like a dark blue and stuff. So I want to leave as much of that white on as possible so that I can avoid having to go over it later. And if I do have to go over it, it's fine. It's just like I said, it tends to be a little difficult to go over darker colors. That's why, like, I wouldn't recommend priming, especially the Mighty Morphin figures, miniatures. I do not recommend priming them in any color other than white, because when you're painting over the diamonds and the other white bits, you're going to have a difficult time painting over something like a black primer or a dark gray primer. A light gray primer probably wouldn't be too bad, but... Alright, so we've got the red on the morpher, we've got the red on the blaster, we've got the silver in the silver places, we have the black in the black places. So now, well, I do need to put more silver on the on the blaster in the back, but I also want to make that look like her belt back there, because if you notice there's like this gap here in the center. That is that's technically her belt. So I want to keep that kind of as is for now. Just letting that dry a little bit. Go back to our silver. Oh, my watch just said, you're at 10% battery. It's only 6:30 here. Three different suits for Mighty Morphin anyways. Really, I did not know that. That I did not know. Rich said there's 3 different suits for Mighty Morphin. I did not know. Like, obviously I know that there's, like, a difference between, like, the ninja suit, the movie suit, and, like, the show suit. But is there more than one suit that you'd have to, like, really look to know the difference? Again, because I know, like, in the movie, they had, like, their suits looked more like latex or rubber, I guess. Whereas, like, their suits in the show look like cloth. U.S. footage versus Japanese. Oh, okay. I prime my Rangers with white scar from Citadel and base coat. Yeah, that's a good trick. That's a good technique. Speed paints and contrast paints have really opened up so many new possibilities, and it's allowed so many people who normally wouldn't have given painting a shot. Really has allowed them to, you know, come into the community, which is great. I have not had a lot of success with contrast paints. I mean, I've used them. I'm grabbing some silver to kind of grab the teeth here of this. Make sure I have a real sharp tip. Looks like that bit there might be black, so we'll have to come back and hit that with some black. Okay, let's grab some gold. Let's see, which gold should we use? Do I have a gold that's not Citadel? None that I really care to use. So I'm going to use Retributor Armor. It's gold from Citadel. Throw that on my palette. This is just for the morph coin, the power coin. Great. One thing that I can do, here's a nice little tip for everyone. In the instance of this blaster, right? So let me zoom in a little bit here. Wish I had a remote for my camera. All right, so if we're looking here at this blaster, you can see if you look at a picture of the blaster, the way that it closes is it's like teeth, right? So this is like the top jaw, and that's like the bottom jaw. Let me grab this so you're not looking at my finger. So it's like the top teeth and the bottom teeth kind of come together. And this spot here in the middle is see-through, like it's hollow. So that white spot that you see right there in the center, that's actually her belt, because this blaster is sticking up out of the holster. So that's either the holster piece, like the whole holster is attached to the belt and then comes down, or it's actually part of the belt itself. But if you look at it from a distance, it looks like, not bad, but it just doesn't look right. So what we'll do is we'll just grab some Nuln Oil, which is a black shade / wash from Citadel. You can use any other brand's dark wash. You don't even need to use black. You're just going to put it inside of that spot, like that. Clean your brush off. Stick it back in there to soak up some of the excess. Do it again. And then one more time. And that just makes all the difference in the world. I don't know if you can tell, but it just looks so much better in my opinion. It just provides a shade, a shadowing, if you will. All right. Let's grab a little more of our black. And I'm just going to, let's see, this part here looks like it would be, which part's the grip? This is probably the grip here. Let's paint that a little bit of black paint. It's such a small detail that you're really just picking out little bits, because at a distance you won't be able to see the little details anyway. But see, I just put a little bit of black in between those teeth there just to break it up. There we go. Oh, it looks like actual teeth. I'm pretty happy with that. Yep. All right, let's see if I don't know which step to do next. I think I definitely want to save the white detail for last, because I might get other colors on it, and I don't want to do that once I've finished the white. So the white will be last. Maybe, you know what, let's do the bowstrings, because I'm curious to see if what I think will work will actually work. So I'm going to grab my favorite color. Stop me if you've heard this one, which is German Gray from Vallejo. Let's zoom back out a little bit. There we go. German Gray by Vallejo. It's a model color from Vallejo. You can pick this up at most hobby stores. I know Hobby Lobby in the States sells Vallejo stuff. But what's great about German Gray is that it's dark enough to black that to the naked eye, if you're not comparing it to black, you won't immediately see the difference, but light enough that you can do some interesting things with it as far as like shading and all that goes. So typically 9 times out of 10, if I have a detail that needs to be black, I will start with German gray and not black. The reason that I chose to do black on the visor is because I want that to be black anyway. So I'm going to take my German gray. Again, this is totally untested. This might not work. But the idea here is to, you want to shade in all of the bowstrings in a dark color. I'm just choosing German gray here. And I'll explain my thought process here in a minute. I love the dynamic poses of some of these miniatures. It does add an interesting challenge when you need to get like around other parts of the miniature. Like right now, these bowstrings are really close to her armor, and I obviously do not want to get any of this color on her. I just want to keep it on the bowstring, so I'm having to be very careful. And when I'm careful, I typically like hold my breath. That's an old military trick when I was in the military that they used to teach us. That if you ever need to keep a steady hand, you take a breath and hold it. One of these days I'm going to be sitting at my desk painting, and I'm going to get like so nervous over a detail of a miniature, I'm going to like pass out or something for holding my breath. Just take your time, no rush. I have a tendency to I get very impatient. I want to finish the miniatures that I'm painting so I can move on to other minis. And I tend to rush, and then you make mistakes, and you have to go back and fix your mistakes, and it ends up taking you as long as it would if you'd have just taken your time. So I always have to tell myself that too. Like, look, it's okay. The mini will be there tomorrow. Okay. So now that we have that on the bowstrings, what we're going to do is we're going to get a lighter color. I'm going to grab, let's grab Dawnstone. I'm going to use Dawnstone. This is Citadel Ray color. That's the sound of my paint stir. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Best investment I ever made. It's that paint stir. You know what I did without it. Okay, so now you're gonna take some paint. Not a lot. And with the side of your brush, you're going to just very gently make a line. And then we're going to go to the other side. This side's going to be interesting. You want to make sure that you just do a line. You want the line to be not super thin, because we're going to do more colors, but you want to keep most of that gray there. So the illusion that I'm trying to make is that the final line that we make with the lightest color that we're going to use is actually the bowstring, and that the other parts that you can see are just shadow to the bowstring. And it already looks better than I thought it was going to. And notice I'm not doing it from any other angle. So if you look at the mini from any other angle, you're not gonna see that line. So it might look a little strange. But the thing that I'm trying to do here is, again, create an illusion. Next, I'll grab some Administratum Gray. You can see here, we're going a step lighter. I probably should have cleaned my brush, but that's okay. Same as last time, only this time we want that line that we're going to make to be thinner than the line that we just made with the Dawnstone. So I'm going to clean off most of the paint from my brush. Just hitting it real quick. And then we'll just grab some white. Use white scar. White paint, you want to make sure that it's really, really, really well shaken up. Shaken up. White tends to get very chalky. You can see just by opening it. I guess you can't see, but it's real chunky. All right. Final pass through. I want to try and be as light as possible. I don't know if I'll be able to be lighter than I've been, but again, the illusion here is that that white line is the bowstring. And not the whole thing. if you're handy with a if you're real handy with an X-Acto blade, I guess you could try and trim some of that plastic off to make the bowstring thinner. So you can see the effect that we tried to do there, right? So that white line is meant to be the bowstring, and the rest is meant to be more of a shadow. So when comparing it to this one, I guess I'll let you guys be the judge of which one you like better, because I clearly did not do that with the original one that I painted. So I guess we'll let you guys be the deciding factor on which one you think looks better. Personally, I like this new one, but maybe you prefer the other way, which is totally fine. It's your mini. Very cool. Of all the Rangers you painted, which Ranger was the easiest and which was the most difficult? Oh man, I think in general, the most challenging Rangers are the Mighty Morphin Rangers, any color. Except maybe green or white. The original 5 Rangers I found to be pretty challenging, including this one that we're painting now, because of the white details. The diamonds and stuff just make for a very challenging paint job. And as far as the easiest, I would say probably any of the in-space ones. I think that those tend to be fairly easy. Psycho Rangers had a bit of a challenge. Those were really fun to paint as well. Okay, so now that we've got that string done and I've let the other things kind of dry, I think we'll just go ahead and get started on the pink, since that's going to take us the longest now. So like I mentioned before, I did base coat it with pink horror, but I'm not really too happy with the color, so I'm going to switch it up to Emperor's Children. I do not understand why that paint color is called that. I'm sure it has some kind of Warhammer reference. I also have this really cool magenta from Pro Acryl, which is not a bad color, honestly. Maybe? Here's these pink colors by comparison. I'll be honest, I kind of like that magenta. You know what? I think we're going to go with the magenta. Let's give it a shot. I don't use my Pro Acryl paints nearly as much as I should, and I want to. I have this loyalty, I guess, to Citadel paints. I think it's probably because I have so many of them. You can't really see them on the camera, but there's like a whole big collection. I also have this paint color. This pot I have had on my painting desk for, oh man, 6-7 years now. This is Reaper Master Series paint. This is Support Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That's a cool paint color too. But I don't trust I don't trust it to be good quality anymore now that it's been sitting there for so long. But we are going to give this magenta a shot, so we'll see how it goes. Put a decent amount on my palette. And then we're just gonna get started. I'm gonna go ahead and go on the back. So the idea here is to cover, to go over most of what we painted already, or most of what was painted off screen, but not all of it. So I want to leave some of that stuff in the recesses. In the recesses, as they say. So this paint is significantly thinner than I thought it would be, which is fine. It just means that we are going to have to probably do a second coat, which is cool. But you can already see the difference in the pink color, right, between what I just put on and what was already on there. If you're using Pro Acryl or Scale 75, just keep in mind that they are matte finished paints. So make sure that that is the consistency that you would like. I tend to not like matte finished paint colors, which is probably why I don't use Pro Acryl as much as I'd like to. Same goes with Scale 75. This front part's challenging. I don't want to cover up everything I've done, but getting underneath the bow here is presenting a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I like this color a lot for Mighty Morphin Pink. Back when I painted my other Mighty Morphin Pink Ranger, the pink horror pot that I showed you a little bit ago was the only pink that I owned. So I had to, that's what I had to use. Because again, I'm impatient. So rather than wait until I had a color that I really wanted to use, I just was like, well, I want to paint it now. So that's what I'm going to use. And who knew? Pro Acryl Magenta. See, sometimes when you step outside of your comfort zone when it comes to painting, I guess with anything in life, not that I'm here to give life advice, but step outside your comfort zone, you can discover things you didn't know were good. I was all set to just use Citadel. I had it all planned out in my head. I was eating dinner earlier. I was like, well, I'm going to use this color and this color. And I was like, you know what? Let's try something different. So already you see the difference between the Pro Acryl pink here on the skirt and then the Citadel pink there on the legs. Trying to leave shadows like the cracks here, the bend in her knee. There would be shadow there. Light's not hitting it, so I'm gonna avoid that with the brush. Same thing over here on this side. I'm just going back over some of the more flat surfaces just so that I can make sure that I'm getting an opaque color and not seeing that as too much of that pink horror underneath there. It's okay to see some of it because we are going to do another highlight, another layer highlight to finish it off, but I want to get as much of it covered up as possible. Again, leaving stuff in the crevices and all that, the cracks and crevices. So if you see me going over stuff repeatedly, that's why. I just want a nice opaque color. Do you ever test colors on different minis before using it on your mains, or do you mainly experiment as you go? I've been doing this for a long enough time that I pretty much just experiment as I go. But when I was first starting off, I would buy like really inexpensive minis. They make like plastic ones that were only like $1. And I always had some on my table. And I would paint like part of the mini, in a color that I was unsure about sometimes. Now I pretty much know. I mean, this obviously was a big shock that I was going to like this. But even if I had gone with the other color, like I would have known what it looked like and I would have been okay with it in advance. What's great about Heroes of the Grid is you get so many minions that you can prime. You can keep, you could have a putty on a putty patroller on your desk that you just, paint over and over again with different colors. I wish that I would have had something like that when I first started painting. But I was painting large army games, so I didn't have, I had to buy separate miniatures as test minis, but foot soldiers are great for that. Just grab a putty, throw it on your desk, prime it up, and then anytime that you're, unsure how a color is going to look, or something like that, throw it on the putty, see what it looks like, and then you can move to your main minis. That's a great question. That pink, the difference in that magenta versus the rest of the mini, it's really, that's a great color. Really, really happy with how it's turning out. Kind of jealous of whoever's going to win this guy, this lady, because this is a great color. Might redo mine. Of my original Rangers, the pink is probably the one that I'm least happy with. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the shade of pink that I chose to use. That's why I knew going into this I kind of wanted to try something new, something different. We bought the Emperor's Children just for it, and look at that, didn't even need it. Because I had something great sitting on my desk already. It's alright. I'll never turn down an excuse to buy more paints. I would probably want to do that trick, especially with contrast, because contrast paints, it's really hard to tell what a color is going to look like until you actually get it onto a miniature. And then it also depends, like, how it's going to look when it's done also depends on, like, how much you put on. Is it pooling in certain places? Did you mix it with anything? Did it touch any other color? Like, what color are you using as a base coat? That's the thing with contrast paints is they make the paint job fast and easy, but sometimes you don't necessarily get the color that you thought you were going to get. It dries differently than what it looks like when you put it on. So you might put it on and go, oh, I don't like how that looks. Let me add some of this and this, and then really what you needed to do was let it dry. So using the old putty trick of having a putty and throwing different contrast paints on it is probably a pretty good idea. I know one of my friends, he owns all of the contrast paints. Like he bought every color, and whenever they release a new color, he buys them because he exclusively paints with them. But he also bought a bunch of Space Marines, and so in his office on his desk, he's got a whole wall of Space Marines of all the different colors with the paint pots underneath them so that he can look at it and go, okay, this is what this color looks like. Which is smart, but man, that's a lot of work. I know that there's also like some guides and stuff online. Some people have made like color guides, and you can look up, what a color looks like. But I have a really hard time with that because I'm a in-person visualizer. I don't trust what my eyes see while looking at a picture on the internet. Because again, then that goes back to like, was your monitor brightness turned up? Was the contrast on your monitor or your phone or whatever you're looking at it with turned up too high? You know what I mean? Like, you can't trick your eyes. Well, I guess you could trick your eyes. Just being real careful around the diamonds and stuff. This is the part that makes me so nervous about these Mighty Morphin Rangers, is the diamonds on the chest and the diamonds on the boots and gloves. Notice I haven't touched those yet. Almost got it all over my finger. What colors of pinks were used? So the base color was Pink Horror from Citadel. And I was not happy with how that was turning out, so I switched over to this magenta from Pro Acryl. So that's what we're using right now. But that magenta from Pro Acryl is very similar to Emperor's Children from Citadel, which is what I was going to use, and then I decided to jump on this Pro Acryl train, and I am so glad that I did, because the color looks great. But welcome to the stream. Glad that you are here with us. How was everybody's weekend? Anybody do anything exciting? It was my wife's birthday, so we did a lot of celebrating of her birthday. Matter of fact, there's some homemade cheesecake that I made upstairs that is calling my name. The cheesecake is saying, Power Rangers aren't as important as eating cheesecake. Come eat cheesecake. That's what it's telling me. But I'm fighting through it. I'm resisting the temptation. Because we got a ranger to paint. So yeah, look at the difference between, look at the diamonds here on the leg versus the, on the boots versus the, Anais has cheesecake too. Everybody to Anais' house. Hers is probably better than mine because I made mine. And believe it or not, I'm 40, and that's the first cake in my whole life that I've ever made. It turned out okay. It's pretty good. But I never baked a cake before. I'm not much of a baker. I like cooking, but not baking. And normally we just do the whole, Cheesecake Factory thing because they make way better cheesecake than I ever could. But we don't have one very close to us, and it just didn't work out that we had time to go get one. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to make you a cheesecake. There's only one slice left. All right, well, we'll let you keep it. Cheesecake is my favorite, but I also really like carrot cake. So for my birthday last year, my wife made me a cheesecake carrot cake. So if you know anything about carrot cake, it usually has like a frosting like center, and so she made the cheesecake, but the center instead of being frosting was a cheesecake, and it was just the best thing ever. Alright, we're getting to the part that nobody likes, which is painting the diamonds. I touched up on my Dino Thunder black and white. That's all I did exciting. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty exciting. That is pretty exciting. I'll do the boot diamonds first. I realized today the last time I painted was last month's stream. I'm like, oh my gosh. I usually paint a couple minis a month. And at least I try to anyway. I kind of did an overhaul to my basement this past month, so I guess a lot of my free time has been going towards that. But that's done now, so if I could just stay off video games and hobby, then I can get some stuff done. I have a painting backlog a mile high. And when I was cleaning my basement, I found even more minis that I had set aside as like, I really want to paint these next, and then never came to fruition. Never came to fruition. I really want to paint some more G.I. Joes. I have not painted nearly as much G.I. Joes as I have Rangers, and that makes me sad. Because I love the G.I. Joe minis. Oh, they're so good. If I could just get, like, all of my favorite IPs to be part of the Guardian system, I would just never paint any miniatures other than that. Next month we can do Joe's. Woo! No personal paints this month. No. Nope. The last mini that the last non-Renegade mini that I painted is still unpainted on the desk next to me. Well, it's mostly painted. I just have not finished it. And it's so close to being finished. I don't know why I just haven't done it. I could probably knock it out in like less than an hour. 20 minutes maybe. No. Maybe a little longer than that. I tend to go a lot slower when I'm not painting on stream. Because I take breaks and I also like watch TV while I'm doing it and I doubt it, but does Renegade have any Transformers minis? Nope. Nope, that would be super cool. That would be super. I have painted a Transformer. Where is he? Oh, he's right there. I think WizKids put out some Transformers minis a while back. I bought them all. There wasn't many. I think there was like there's maybe like 7 or 8 total. And I don't think that they've released more. I think they must have lost the IP or something. Because they only released like Optimus, Bumblebee, Megatron, Starscream, RC, Soundwave, which is the one that I painted, and maybe that's it. At least I think I have them all. Maybe they have released more and I just don't have them. Those are the ones I have. I'm still going to hold out hope for one day seeing a Power Ranger Ninja Turtle crossover in the Guardian system. Maybe we can have maybe we need some fan made turtle cards so I can play with everybody's America's favorite teenagers with America's other favorite teenagers. Alright, so that is all done with that base color there. I've been running one Transformer for 13 months now. An RPG session? Is that what you mean? If you need minis for Transformers minis for your RPG session, the WizKids ones are really nice. They're just not like they're pretty big size. Um, which, I mean, depending on what you're going for, the scale might be okay. Like when standing next to a ranger, it definitely is bigger than the. If you haven't already, why not paint Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow? You know what I actually want to do? I've not painted. I have painted Snake Eyes, not the retro Snake Eyes, but I have painted the other Snake Eyes. But one thing that I thought was really cool, because I have a copy of the retro Snake Eyes on the card. What I thought would be cool is to take the Snake Eyes out of the package while keeping the package intact, so that you can then put him back in the package and he'll be painted like on the card. Does that make sense? I thought that I've been thinking about that, like thinking of ways that I can get the mini out of the plastic without damaging it, so that you could then stick him back in, so it would look like, an old school action figure, but it would be a miniature that I painted. I think that'd be really, really cool, nice display piece on the wall. And I think I have some ideas on how to do it that involve a razor blade and like a hairdryer. Because I think if I can loosen the glue with some heat, like from a hairdryer, and then I can be very careful with the with a razor, I think I can do it. It's one of my project ideas that I have. Because I really like it on the card. I think it would look really cool up on the wall. I'm just bummed out that it's not painted. I was like, wow, I could paint it, but how would I get it out without hurting it, So look at the pink difference there. The one on the left is the one that I painted years and years ago. The one on the right is what I just painted. Obviously, there's more shadowing and stuff on the figure on the right, but the pink color on the on the left, but the pink color on the right is way better, in my opinion. Okay. So now we're going to jump over to the Citadel paint Fulgrim Pink. That would be awesome, right? I'm trying to remember. He was on my desk because I was going to do it, and I was like, maybe I should wait and try and get that on camera. But then the other thing, too, is like if I try and get the mini off of the card on camera, like let's say I were to do it for a stream, when I get the mini out, the mini won't be primed. So then I would have to go and prime it and then come back. But with Snake Eyes, you just have to prime it black. And I do have black brush on primer. I actually used it today for something else. So I'm grabbing some of this, sorry, I'm getting distracted. I'm using this Fulgrim Pink. I put it on my palette right next to that magenta. And now I'm going to just do some line highlighting. So, as to bring out the details. All right. Looks like we're getting ready to run the giveaway. So run over to the chat. Everybody type in Pink Ranger to be entered. And good luck. I'm excited. So I'm looking for the creases, those spots where we left some of the darker color. And I'm just very gently drawing little teeny tiny lines. Have you ever, would you bother painting putties? I have, actually. I did a speed painting during one of the Renegade cons, one of the online Renegade cons, to see how many I could paint in, it was either an hour or an hour and a half. It was actually a lot of fun. I don't remember how many I actually ended up painting. I want to say it was somewhere like around 10 or 15. Showed tips for like speed painting or batch painting rather. But yeah, I think it's worth it. It's definitely worth it to like teach yourself different techniques. And as somebody else had mentioned in the chat, you know, about like testing paints, it's great for that too. So you can test different colors to see what you like and see what you don't like. But yeah, all of my minis, all of my putties are painted. I was wondering where you were, John. Nice to see you were able to comment. I was like, oh, my Power Ranger 30 buddy's not here. Some of these, this color is so, like, light. I might add a little bit of that magenta in. Because some of these lines are too light for me. There's too big of a, like this one here. Alright, I think I'm going to leave the pink alone for a few minutes. And I think I'm going to switch over to white and start sprucing that up a little bit so we can start seeing the end game here. Can we get a black dragon next time in honor of Dragon Armor Trini coming soon? Ooh. That would be cool. I agree with Jamie. Even if you screw up, you can always repaint. And speed paints and contrast paints really do. Like if you're worried about, if you're inexperienced and you're worried about that, speed paints / contrast paints really can make all the difference in helping you kind of get over that hump and make you feel more confident with being able to paint. But I'll tell you what I tell everybody. The only way that you're going to learn how to paint is to paint. The only way you're going to improve your painting is to paint. Don't be worried about messing it up. It can always be undone. I have stripped the paint off of many miniatures and started over again. And it's okay. I'll show you. I keep this on my desk. The very first miniature that I ever painted. And I show it to you for the only reason that I show it is because I want you to see where I started, right? This is the very first miniature that I ever painted. And, you know, I'm not a pro painter, but now I can do this. And the only reason that I can do that is because I just did it over and over and over again. Repetition. Also, watching other people paint. Not just me. I mean, there's so many great YouTubers on the internet. I'm subscribed to so many that give tips and techniques. And, you know, just look up. You know, okay, I have to paint pink today. You can literally go on YouTube and type in, you know, how to paint pink and then, you know, miniatures. And you will find a video out there with somebody showing you tips and tricks on how to paint pink. And depending on the mini and depending on the game, you could type in how to paint Mighty Morphin pink, and there might be a video out there of somebody showing specifically how to paint Mighty Morphin pink. That's how I learned. That's how I got better, was just in my free time. I didn't watch TV. I didn't play video games. I watched people paint miniatures. In bed at night, before I go to sleep, everybody else is in bed sleeping. I'm watching videos on how to paint. I don't do it so much anymore. But there's still a few YouTubers I sub to, and whenever they put out a new video, I watch them. Because that's how I learn, you know. Because my painting is not talent, it's just learning and repetition. I definitely wasn't born with this talent, I had to learn it. And I still have a long way to go. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to win any awards or any contests anytime soon. I'm definitely not a pro painter at all. I'd love to be. I'd love to get there. I don't know that I have the time to reach that level anymore. because it really does take a lot of, like, I haven't painted, like I was explaining earlier, I haven't painted in like a month. You know, the height of my painting, I was painting for hours every day. I had like a little portable painting station that I had made, and I went to Target and I got like a cart, and I put all my paints on the cart, and that way I could wheel it around. And whenever the wife or the family, was like, hey, let's, sit down and watch a movie or let's watch TV, I was over in the corner, still watching. I had my little cart and my little tray table and my little lamp that would clip. It was like a little clip lamp that you clip to the side of the oh, see ya, Nias. Sorry, my kid was emailing me or messaging me. So yeah, so I would just cart that thing around the house, and I just painted. And again, if there's like a mini that you really want to paint and you want to paint it well and you're intimidated and you don't want to screw it up, grab yourself a putty and paint it. Paint the putty like you would paint the Ranger, Hey, I'm going to paint a pink Ranger and I need to use whites and I need to use pinks and all those other colors. Right now, I'm just going around and I'm cleaning up the white bits. I don't know if I explained what I was actually doing. I just kind of started doing it because we were talking. Um, that's the that's one of the reasons why painting Mighty Morphin Rangers is so tough. Is this part right here where you're going around and sprucing up the around the diamonds. Because I don't care how good of a painter you are, those parts are tough. It is tough to get everything to not overflow. Yeah, end up with a pink putty. Absolutely. Why not? Why not? If you're just joining the stream and you would like an opportunity to win this miniature, make sure that you go to the comments and type in Pink Ranger. That will get you entered. And here in a few minutes, I will randomly select someone. I thought Anais was going to do it, but I guess I'm going to do it because Anais left. So I guess I'm doing it. Yeah, so that's, in case you missed it, that's the giveaway. We are giving away this miniature. And excitingly, in the future, going forward, we will be giving away the miniatures that I paint. So you want to make sure that you tune in so that you can have the opportunity to get a fully painted mini. Just being super careful. So if I don't speak for a minute, it's only because I am not breathing. I'm holding my breath. I will not be keeping any of these figures in the future, which makes me a little sad. Not gonna lie, but I am excited to have minis that I painted in the hands of someone that's not me. It's very satisfying feeling to know that someone out there has a mini that I painted, and hopefully is using it to play the game. Yep. I have not met Amy Jo, but I have met JDF, and that was an amazing memory. Mm-hmm. She's looking good. Getting there. Whoop. All right. I'm pretty happy with that. There's one more thing. That I want to do. Okay. All right. The last thing that I want to do, other than the base, which the base I'll do off camera. I won't do that on camera. Just because we're short on time here. I'm going to grab some Nuln oil. You can do this with any wash or shade. Just going to put a little bit on the tip of my brush, and I want to trace around the hand here because I want there to be a shadow or something separating the hand from the bow because they're so close to each other that it almost looks like, I mean, well, I say they're so close to each other. Obviously, she's holding it. But because there's no, like, shadow here, it just looks like one piece, you know what I mean? So I'm just very lightly tracing around where her hand is holding the bow. And on camera, you probably can't see that that's doing anything, but I promise it is. Promise. I'm just like, I might do it around the arrow too. Here. Just give some little bit of separation between what she's, her hand, and then what she's holding. I'm going to do it around the back of the helmet here too, between the helmet and her neck seal. Without getting it on her helmet. It just makes a difference when you're staring at it, because otherwise it just looks like she doesn't have a neck. Let's see. Is there anything I've missed? What do you guys think, chat? Is there a name for the part here? This is just miniature holder, painting holder, maybe. I don't know if it has a specific name, to be honest with you. All right, well, let's look at them side by side here. What do we think? I definitely like the pink. On the new one, way better. Yeah, this holder's from Citadel also. Yeah, look up like Citadel. I don't know. I don't want to. Paint holder is obviously not it because it doesn't hold paint. Or painting grip, maybe. Oh, painting handle. See, I wouldn't have thought that handle was part of it. Alright, before the last step of what I'm going to do on camera, like I said, I still have to do the base and stuff, which I'll do off camera. Before I do the last step, while I let this dry, we will draw our winner. All right, let's see here. How many people we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, you guys got a 1 in 6 chance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. Them pretty good odds. Alright, let's go to a random... You know what? Here we go. Pick a number between 1 and 6. She picked 4, so the 4th person to comment Pink Ranger was 1, 2, 3, 4. MPAKA 88. MPAKA 88. You have won yourself a Pink Ranger miniature painted by yours truly. Congratulations. Are you in the chat? I hope you are, because I don't have any way of getting a hold of you otherwise. You're there. Awesome. I'm gonna, let me see if I can PM you. I don't know if I can. I don't know how that works. How do I message you? I don't know how to message you. I'll figure it out. Are you a part of the Renegade Power Rangers Facebook group? Because if you are, an easy thing would be for you to find my post that I made earlier today, and you can send me a personal message on Facebook, and I can get your address and stuff, and we can exchange information for you. If you don't have that, let me know, and I will figure out another way of getting in touch with you. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the helmet shiny. Because I will be able to, because their helmets are shiny. Because they're like a hard plastic. So to do that, we are going to use Citadel's Technical Paint Ard Coat. It's basically just a clear varnish. Contact. Okay, I know him as well, so I will. I'll reach out to him. And I'm just gonna put it on. I want just the helmet, so I need to be a little careful. It's gonna give the helmet that plasticky sheen. I say plastic because I doubt that their helmets are supposed to look like plastic, but let's face it, they do. It'll give that shine. Without giving the rest of the miniature that shine. that's it. That'll dry. It won't have the streaks when it dries. And I will get the base all done up, and we will get this shipped out fiberglass. Yes, that makes sense that they would be fiberglass. So yeah. So what do we think, guys? Definitely the pink on the right. As far as pink colors go, it's much closer, and I really like the technique used on the bowstring. Makes it look much more like an actual bowstring instead of just whatever that is. And yeah, I'll get the base done up, get this out to MP, aka 88. Thank you everybody for joining today. Next month we're going to do it again, so make sure that you stay tuned. We do this the first Monday of every month, and going forward you will receive, or you will have a chance to receive, the miniature that I paint here on the show. So you don't want to miss a stream, because that might be your chance. And as always, make sure you take care of yourself, take care of each other, play your games, paint your miniatures, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.